So we're going to get into the tariff tards in just a second. And I hope you stupid lefties learn something from this, that the Democrat elitists don't care about you. They literally just tanked the stock market so that you retards would sell all your stocks and they could buy all your stocks from you. Trump told you not to panic, but you wouldn't listen. Trump says don't drink your piss, and liberals drink piss. I don't understand what's wrong with these people. The stock market always bounces back, but they rely on idiots that panicins. They rely on panicins to freak out and sell all their stock. So, yeah, remember 4 days ago when they said that we're headed for like the worst economic times ever? You can't measure the economy through the stock market. That's not how that works. But let's get into this. This is pretty funny. I want to look at this really quick.
A good news story. Watch this thief be chased and tackled to the ground.
Yes. Got him.
The humiliation did not end there. Watch Granny put the baddie in a headlock.
Get him, Granny. Get him. Leave him scream.
Well, here's a case of chutzpah. China.
What is on his face? He had like some white mask on his face. Yeah, you don't look like a white dude. He's seen that adolescent show too many times, dude.
So if we want to just keep
question, who's more popular right now, Donald Trump or congressional Democrats?
Doesn't matter. Donald Trump happens to be the president, doesn't he?
It doesn't. He's sitting at 50-50. You're sitting at 20-80.
He's at 48-50, actually, and increasingly people. Oh, okay. You want to call the AP and tell them they're
call CBS News?
Sure.
Right, okay, we're not going to go to that over
more importantly,
polls. We're not going to.
His numbers are going. His approval ratings are going down.
No, they're not.
We got to leave it there.
Getting owned, bro. Just completely getting owned. Trump's numbers keep going up. Liberals, libtards keep going down. They hate it, bro. You see how triggered she was hearing the truth? Are you still listening to this moron? This guy Kramer, I don't know what to tell you, dude. This guy's always wrong. Always.
Reach out and reward these countries and companies that play by the rules in the 1987 scenario. The one where we went down 3 days and then down 22% on Monday has the most cogency. We will not have to wait out too long, will we? We'll know by Monday. Fortunately, we had an excellent set of employment numbers today. At least it makes it less likely a crash will necessarily lead to a recession. But if President Trump stays intransigent and does nothing to ameliorate the damage that I saw,
employment is up.
Last 2 days, I'm not going to be constructive here. I will contain my anger, but only because I lived through 87, and in the end, I came out okay. I was in cash for the crash. I know what this feels like. Oh, and if Europe moves against our fabulous tech companies next week, then I will be furious. That I promise you, because it should not happen.
Here comes the good news.
Particularly for the smaller investors out there, you can't lose money unless you sell. And right now, the smart strategy is not to panic, just stay in, because we are going to have the biggest boom in the stock market we've ever seen under the Trump policies. We will find a bottom in this market quickly. We will hit 50,000 on the Dow easily by the end of this term.
Now, Kevin O'Leary has been talking about how these tariffs are going to help America forever. Like, this dude, he's broken this down so many times and nobody listened to him.
Markets correcting? Yes, they are. By the way, markets correct every 18 months, up to 20%. You're watching it happen right now. It's not pleasant. You can't blame just the tariffs for this. These have been very expensive markets now for almost 18 months. Now they're having a correction. I think what matters is this a recession signal, yes or no? And how long will these tariffs be on? I would say 50% of these tariffs across these 60 countries will be negotiated pretty quickly.
Here we have a business owner, and he has to explain to Jake Fapper, because he can't ever stop fapping to himself, exactly how this is going to work for business owners.
We have had a couple people anxious about the stock market. But again, our goal is that we're going to sell millions more dollars, so we have to hire many more people. If we do that, we're going to hire them at very good jobs, with very good pay, wonderful benefits with the 401k match. True, there's some companies that have been buying T-shirts from Vietnam and China, and they're going to have to pay a couple more bucks for a T-shirt, and then the American consumer is going to have to pay more for a T-shirt. That's obviously not pleasant for those American consumers, but I think there's going to be an overwhelming surge of hiring in America as things level out, as American factories ramp up and people have to hire talent, buy machines. We've invested money in buying new machines because we're so enthusiastic, so optimistic about the future. That's going to start happening throughout the nation, and people are going to be leaning into the future. This is a very exciting time for the American manufacturing worker. We're going to be able to pull people from poverty into the middle class that used to not have an avenue. They had no shot at getting into the middle class.
Now we're going to check out how Democrats are rooting for China. Okay? They don't care about America anymore. Since Trump stands for America, they have to root against anything Trump does. So now they're so anti-American. They're rooting for China right now.
Now, at 7 o'clock, I turned on CNN. I wanted to get a wider look at reaction to what Trump did today. And the anchor at 7 is a very smart woman. She's an ideologue for the left, but she's not a nut. To my shock, she was almost sympathizing with China. Let me tell you about China. They are the worst cheaters on the planet. Mm-hmm. They steal. Every untoward thing that you could do economically, they do. Every year, the United States sends $300 billion more to China than they send to us in trade. $300 billion. Ireland, with a population of 5 million, takes more U.S. goods than China. Ireland. China blocks U.S. goods from coming into their country. So I don't care whether their tariffs 5,000%.
Yeah, no, this seems to be
China?
this seems to be about remaking and putting China in a.
No, dude. This is about China needs to negotiate with us, and we need to work something out so that we are not building their own military for them.
Right, and there's a lot to that.
It's not. No. It is a game of chess, but it's more than that.
Yeah.
It's a throwdown. Mm-hmm. We've had enough. You heard Trump say it.
Yeah.
Right.
You're building your military you're building your military off U.S. dollars.
Yeah.
We're financing their military by the trade deficit. You're building that military to a point where war will be inevitable. Because you are stockpiling weapons and men to an extent that you don't need to be defensive. Trump knows this. But I want to get back to the American media. They don't know it because they hate Trump so much. Mm-hmm. They never report the truth. They never report the big picture. They never give you the danger of China, ever.
We got libtards like Pocahontas out here trying to block Trump's tariffs. They're trying to work against America to help other countries. What does that sound like to you? What does that sound like when people actively work against their own country to help other countries? That sounds like treason to me.
Constitutional law. It's Congress that actually has to approve tariffs. Mm-hmm. But we gave this emergency power to Donald Trump. But Congress has the power under just a resolution, simple majority, to say it's not an emergency, fella, and that takes away his power to put all of these tariffs in place. Last Wednesday, we advanced in the United States Senate this motion to say, hey, we're not in an emergency situation with Canada. And 4 Republicans right then crossed over, voted with the Democrats, and it passed. And the importance of this, just to be wonky for a minute.
We love wonky. Safe place.
It's a privileged motion, which means it has to be brought to the floor to be voted on. So right now, we've got every Democrat lined up saying we are ready to declare we are not in an emergency. We are not at war with France, with Canada, with Italy. Can we just go through the whole list? With Japan, with South Korea? We are not. And if a handful of Republicans will join us, we have the power to
You mean traitors?
stop to this tariff catastrophe that Donald Trump is putting in place and pulling our economy into a ditch.
Mr. Speaker.
Not sure yet.
But Mr. Speaker, there's a push by some of your members to give Congress a say. Don Bacon has a bill to give Congress a say in reviewing the tariffs. Why not give Congress the opportunity to have it be a check on the president on this
Congress
issue?
will weigh in on it, but with the president, with the administration in tandem, and I think you got to give the president the latitude, the runway to do what it is he was elected to do, and that is get this economy going again and get our trade properly balanced with other countries. So I think most of the American people understand the necessity of that. Listen, we had a $1.2 trillion trade deficit in 2024. I don't think that's fair to our country. I think the American people understand that, and I think they see a president who's engaging and trying to fix that. So we're going to give him the space necessary to do it, and we'll see how it all develops.
Do you think Trump administration officials should brief members? I mean, some of your members are asking for a briefing at the very least to understand the strategy.
His office is directly engaged with members, and we'll have.
Do you expect to talk to the conference, sir?
We pay Congress millions of dollars a year to do nothing, to get nothing done. These people do nothing. We get Trump in there. He's finally doing something, and now they want to block him from doing anything. When they do nothing, they are the biggest waste of just any type of government efficiency ever. Look at Cory Booker. He's on the floor for 24 hours. Did you pass any bills?
No.
You passed a bill, right?
No.
No, you didn't pass a bill. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's take a look at how they're going to put their cape on and just, like, root for China, man. These people just root for China.
Upon a mistake. Overnight, China hurled these new accusations at President Trump as it took action, bracing for a real trade slugfest. President Trump is now promising a new 50% tariff on China, on top of the other new tariffs, which are on top of existing tariffs.
Good.
Combined, this would make U.S. tariffs on imports from China a whopping 104%.
Good.
And yet, despite all this tough talk, the markets, they seem a little less agitated this morning.
Wow.
After days of these massive losses and trillions of dollars in value evaporated, U.S. stock futures are pointing up, for now at least. It comes, and it may be because of the fact that some members of his administration have relented on their no negotiation stance. Some members of the administration. The markets in Asia, you can see right there, most of them rebounded after their sharp sell-offs. This comes, though, as China accused the...
Because over 70 countries have already come begging for mercy, moron. The stock market already got a hold of all that information, that they're already coming to make deals. Stupid.
U.S. of blackmail, and China is vowing to, quote, fight to the end if the president moves ahead with all of his threats.
Good.
So let's get... And China really seems to be gearing up for a serious fight.
Indeed, John, despite what the White House may want, China and Beijing is making it very clear that it's not going to budge. And once again today, we saw this shift from diplomatic language to something that's much more defiant. You brought up that phrase, mistake upon mistake. That is some of the language we heard today from China's Ministry of Commerce. And it's taking a very strong stance. In fact, it also went on to say that China will resolutely take countermeasures to safeguard its own rights and interests. As far as what those countermeasures could be, we heard from a state media commentator who brought up the point that we could see more tariffs targeting agriculture, things like soybeans, which we know are so important to American farmers and the broader economy, even restricting or banning American films. We heard at a press briefing just about 4 hours ago from a spokesperson.
And that's a plus, that Hollywood's going to take a hit. Woke Hollywood's now going to take a hit. Who's got... I don't know anybody mad about that. Maybe they better start making films for America instead of making films for China. Why are our American filmmakers making films for China? You have no idea that the hold that China has on our film and gaming industry.
China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The messaging there, very strong, very firm. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Pressure, threats, and blackmail are not the right ways to engage with China. If the U.S. disregards the interests of both countries and the international community, insists on launching a tariff or trade war, China will fight to the end.
Fight to the end.
These people love China, bro. They love China. They are so Trump deranged that they're going to sit there and root for China, who have been bending us over. These people make me sick, bro. They make me sick. Okay, we're going to check in with Scott Jennings one more time, the top G at CNN. He's going to set these libtards straight.
So far.
Well, I think Scott Bessent is doing an excellent job. I think the Treasury Secretary talking about the end game, as we just heard, the 70 countries that have called, and really also some tough messaging on China today, talking about the leverage that the United States has. I think this is actually the messaging that will work and calm people down and also give people the confidence that there's a plan in place here on the tariffs. What's the purpose of it? What are we trying to accomplish both inside the United States and on the international stage? I do think he's right, by the way, about the tax cuts. I would actually take it a step further if I were them. And not only would I talk about the individual tax cuts being made permanent, I would be proposing massive cuts or an elimination of the capital gains tax right now. I'd be projecting and throwing out the idea of cuts in the corporate tax rate, because right now you have Democrats out there who've now found their free market and low tax bona fides, and they're feeling that spirit right now. So let's see how serious they are and try to get them on board with even further reductions in taxes on corporate activity.
So the head of the European Commission put that out, and Donald Trump said that's not enough. So what's a good deal?
Well, I think it's probably different for different countries. I mean, what's good for us to do with Vietnam or the EU may be different from a smaller country or a country that makes different things.
What's the problem with defining it to offer some certainty?
Well, I think the problem with defining it publicly on the front end or accepting the first deal that's put on the table by the EU or anyone else is to really box yourself in. And you don't want to start a negotiation where you think you have some leverage, by saying, okay, fine, we'll take your first offer. I think that would be folly. In fact, I might answer Bakari's criticism about the Congress on the tax cuts. It's not an either-or situation. This is a two-part plan. Part A is the tariffs and what Trump wants to do to restructure trade. Part B is the Congress has to do its job on making the tax cuts permanent, doing more to unleash American energy, and the other changes they want to make in reconciliation. It's not that one is a substitute for the other. They have to work together. And I suspect, I know the president's meeting with some House Republicans today. I suspect what he's going to tell them is, I'm out here doing something huge, but you got to do your part because one doesn't work without the other.
Yep.
It's really that simple. It's really that simple.
That's it, man. They have to all work in tandem together. The taxes have to be lowered. The tariffs have to be applied. We have to fire people from the government, downsize the government. All these things, they all have to work together in order for all this to work. And Democrats have no vision. That's why they have no plan. They have nothing to offer anyone. And that's why Trump's approval rating is going up, is people see what's going on. No matter the lies they keep pushing. They couldn't, 5 days is all they could peddle those lies about. Oh my God, the stock market, the world's ending. Dude, these people are just absurd, man. Let me know what you think. Modern Menace, I'm out. Peace.